Hi. Last week I went as deep as one of these videos can go into propaganda. And I made the point that propaganda is what makes everything feel normal. The way things are now feels like the only way to be. People perpetrate the status quo without even wondering if it's in their interest. We're expected to spend most of our waking time trying somehow to make money. That's normal. It's normal to feel worthless and guilty if you don't have a career and a nest egg. It's also normal to expect people who don't have enough money for whatever reason to go hungry, or to be denied medical care, or get kicked out of their home. And it's all because of the myths surrounding the idea of success. I'm Chris, and this is what had to be said. When analyzing propaganda, or anything else for that matter, you want to ask cui bono, who benefits? And it's inevitably the richest people and the managerial class who works for them. Modern capitalist propaganda has completely fused the idea of having money with the idea of succeeding. The only measure of personal success that matters anymore in this context is how much money you have and how you show it off. Again, is this belief something that benefits us? Does it benefit you? To constantly make more money, constantly spend more money. It means everything in society, including our worth, is measured in money. Your freedom to do anything is conditioned by how much money you have. A corollary belief to this one is that if you aren't successful and financially carefree, it's your fault. You hear people on the right blaming poor and working people for everything because they put zero analysis into the system and its effects. Poor people are often the hardest working people. They have to be to survive. But these Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk types read one book by Milton Friedman and suddenly they understand how the world works well enough to tell millions of people to pick up extra shifts or else die in poverty. But another part of the propaganda, more subtle but for that reason maybe more insidious, is these rich people who've been really lucky somehow, who write books telling you that anyone can get rich. Anyone can be successful and financially secure, and everyone can do it. Again, no analysis of the system at all. Just taking everything that it says about itself for granted. As I've explained in another video, and all the links that for recommended videos are in the description, not everyone can get rich. The system simply won't allow it. One of their major assumptions, and I'm guessing this comes from economics, is wealth is created as value is created. And it's totally not a zero-sum game. So you can always just enlarge the pie by creating more wealth. The same line of thinking says redistribution destroys wealth. But that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Again, I explain this in more depth in my other videos, but the gist is what they call creating wealth ultimately comes at someone else's expense. Always. Then there's Jordan Peterson, who makes a killing telling people not to change or even really think about the oppressive systems that have a huge impact on our lives. Don't bother analyzing the context of your problems, says Peterson. Don't look at or address major social problems. Just keep following the same boring advice from the same wealthy people who are completely out of touch. That's all he's got. I used to read these success books, and I used to believe in all the messages of this capitalist propaganda. It took me a long time to unlearn it. I think being a cis-het white guy was one reason it took so long. It's much harder to see how systems exploit people when I've always been in a position of relative privilege. Eventually, I came to realize these beliefs about money and work and success all came from other people, not from me, from what I value, from people whose opinions don't matter to me. And they came with all kinds of pressures that simply weren't in my interest. In this culture, we're under constant pressure from family, government, landlords, and bosses to make money, to always appear to be working, to always appear to be trying to improve our skills, to try to work hard all the time regardless of the work's effects on our health and our relationships, to always strive and jockey for promotions and status, to always be climbing the ladder. And of course, things like working hard and getting promotions are means to the end of making money. So everything that makes you successful in their eyes depends on repeatedly increasing your salary. So one person you know can say, I just got a promotion. And your mom or your wife or whoever's putting the pressure on you can turn to you and say, see, he's successful, so why aren't you? And you feel bad because you don't have the life other people tell you you should have, what you're supposed to have. This is the mentality that still haunts the minds of hundreds of friends and acquaintances of mine, so I take it personally. On the one hand, yeah, we're forced to make money to survive, unless we find some way to live without money and avoid paying taxes. So some money-making mindset is rational. Where it gets into the counterproductive and dangerous is the stress, the guilt, the anxiety, the broken relationships, the mental health problems, the suicides. We internalize these things, these pressures, and these messages, these duties and obligations pressed on us by others. And we tell ourselves it's all our fault and our responsibility to change it. But it's not your fault. You didn't set up this system. You live in an oppressive society with high standards that not everyone can meet, draconian rules, a very narrow range of accepted beliefs and practices, and contempt for people who don't conform to every one of them. And you're not the only one. Millions of people in their 20s and 30s feel this way, right now. You're not foolish or lazy just because you aren't a CEO. You're not worthless just because the shareholders of the corporation you sold your time to can't find a use for you anymore, so they fired you. The system we live under incentivizes firing you. It incentivizes taking your livelihood away. You didn't produce the right amount of the specific kind of value your job was supposed to provide? So what? You're worth a hell of a lot more than what the boss allows you to have. I think bosses see jobs as a gift they bestow on you, and a salary is their permission for you to survive. But really, by controlling so much wealth, a few people are restricting everyone else's ability to feed themselves, unless we work to make them richer. Neither are you worthless for failing at getting rich as an entrepreneur. Again, I've explained this in videos I link to in the description. Suffice it to say, most businesses fail, and contrary to what the lucky few will tell you, there's a lot more to it than just a lack of persistence. Not everyone can start a business. Not everyone who starts a business can make money. Not everyone who makes money can recoup their losses. You're no more a loser for not being a rich tycoon than you are for not winning the lottery. And conservatives and other right-wingers have no solutions to poverty. They say, get a job, as if they were just handing out jobs. Get another job on top of your full-time one, so you have no time to exercise the freedom they keep telling us we have. Give up sleep, eat dog food. Save and invest money you don't have. Why do we have to jump through all these hoops just to be allowed to eat food and sleep in a bed? And when you have little more than the minimum money, don't let them shame you for spending some of it on little pleasures. If you're like me, you often have the urge to buy something just because it'll make your life a little more enjoyable. But the rich capitalist guy in your head makes you feel ashamed for it. Don't be ashamed. Without any pleasure, what's the point of life? To work yourself to death to make someone else rich? You're not weak for panicking, breaking down, burning out, getting anxious or depressed. These are common, understandable responses to the intense pressures you've been under. It's no surprise the incidence of mental health problems is on the rise. You're not unusual for suffering under capitalism. You're not unusual for being broke and struggling. Most people can't afford a quiet, comfortable life, at least not while they're still cogs in the wheels of capitalism. Find each other. Work together. Form a community. Take care of each other. Take your freedom back. We need to define success on our terms. For me, success is reaching my goals, being happy, making friends. Shit, even beating a video game is success as far as I'm concerned. If that's what you enjoy doing, that's what you should do. You don't have to have a degree and a career and a stock portfolio and a retirement plan. You shouldn't have a constant fear of the future. Your future should be more secure. The resources exist for everyone to have their own houses and food. They're just currently in the hands of the people who stole the commons from us. You shouldn't have to suffer from artificial scarcity. You shouldn't have to feel guilty that you're not spending every waking minute trying to set up your own business or side hustles. You shouldn't feel like a failure just because you're not rich. You only feel like that because you've been lied to all your life. When you determine what you believe in and what you want, what you value, you can go get it. But just to save you some time, you won't find it in a cubicle, and you won't hear about it on TV.